Jedinina Adam's Kitchen. Ebony da phone. Ain't you beer to me, Toby? Adrianiki Amike, Zeda, Yedon, sea packaging. Adam's Kitchen. Jollof and fried rice with assorted options. I want to so deal pizza, special noodles, Bunkune tilapia. Adam's Kitchen. Aroma no. Kumase, your main restaurants, El Panoso, Tafo, KNUSC, and Amstead. More flavor. Na more Bokwani Atasmanso. Yamamu mini restaurants. Adam's Kitchen joints, you know. Ubeyebi Wapatrapa, Boko Chrome, and in Nigeria. You will order says ya. Not to a 053 7277 856. Announce 020 320 4416. Adam's Kitchen.
We are live on Facebook at Y102.5 FM. Tell a friend to tell a friend to get to Facebook right about now and watch us. We are streaming live on our Facebook page at Y102.5 FM. Please get to our Facebook page. When you get there, kindly let me know your name, where you're listening to us from, and of course your expectations for tonight's show. I am speaking to a beautiful medical doctor. Is it right to say you're a clinical psychiatrist?
No.
So what was the right term? You're a psychiatrist. Okay, so I am speaking to a woman who has studied about the brain, some functions of the brain and the emotions, and we'll talk more about her career too. But be reminded that Pink is proudly brought to you by Ambi Executive Restaurant. I don't have to say one of the best. Ambi is the best. The best when it comes to restaurants here in Kumasi. They serve the best, the most tastiest, the most delicious breakfast, lunch and dinner. And guess what? This Mother's Day at Ambi will be amazing. You miss out at your own peril. So please make sure that you are at Ambi this Mother's Day, and of course you are treating Mama to something special. Find Ambi at Adiemra, 500 meters away from the Gracefield Chapel Havila Temple. They are opened from Mondays to Sundays from 12 noon to 11 p.m. You can reach Ambi for all your orders and deliveries on 0597 839363, or find and follow Ambi on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook at Ambi_GH. Ambi is spelled AMBE_GH. Ambi isn't just a restaurant. To me, Ambi is a community, because at Ambi, a pinch of passion in every dish. Try their angomo breakfast or their wache, and you will thank me later. Of course, away from Ambi, ASC wide phones. Miana Mekama Sem. That you ever show Guinness Book of Records, but the Book of Quotes. Say, hey, Abnake said in the year 2024, the only how no de brofo bompaye. The only how and no de brofo e bompaye. Oh, how are? And you feel oh God, oh Lord, my radie. Me promise se bompaye. Oh Januo. It's see why that some they may come and cabro for sem. And ya brofo sem. Mr. Wuni hawa and other brofo bompaye. Wuni hawa na kasi wa and wasem. Brofo. Now young kwama kwai weni na ho so wo phone ato ben kwan mu ya ne brofo da bia ne brofo tie see why they say o phone a say jaso and as ye ni na nim say mobile phone ye de bibia ye de meeting o tamale so so onkoko onteda mobile phone ye de bibia mane ye and exams cry throw your phone so enti o mobile phone essay ya na waswan shipa and unti na see why do ho no see why they say Uba ne ho we dum. Akate Farms building ni mu a. Wa ma o phone. Fa ko fie ne ko yusu. Time a wo pe bia betia. O se meboa. Freno 0245 051799. See white phones in kwana ono. Ebo quarter 2000 krana frena. Obefa call. Phone bia. iPhone, Samsung, Infinix, Huawei, Itel, Techno, phone brand bia. See wide will be. Monsieur fan number and a friend CCA 0245 051799. Bawa pesa okoha. Eduma branches bebre. Or Bakua Kate Farms building. Oda Kate Farms dining moa. Or Science was Sambra Hotel Junction. Or Champion building nimu. Dine Bay Melcom baby. Omofa tech kano. Usane Melcoma. And chair on a sea wide ho. I face so doom PZ. Sobolo station ho. Ana Kiditia. Beside the MTN offices or by MTN office so besides so techima with your friend on bet show baby omo na 1 year 0245 051799. Sha boy you cross sister feel you pa me tell over number mommy me be man 0245 yemre be 0249 and the other style vintage. Now, if you know me closely, you know that I love to look good. Growing up, it was two things. I wanted to be on radio, but yes, nam pesame quiet low. Tremiama ko YFM challenge me to airtime. Na me ama be show. But apart from that, na Diana yese me tie kapa and pesame ye raba. Uni me raba. Obi onim dressing. Knows what to wear with what. The color combination be on point. Or appears poised, classy, elegant. And that is why you need to visit In Style Vintage. They will make you proper iraba, proper cratchy. And young kwanche la look boy bia. Why a fine boy. Because of our lady suits, poppy dresses, men t-shirts, sneakers. Both men and women, jeans, Papa B, ladies' jeans, two-piece outfits, man shoe no. Mister, and I'm who the mentor mammy. Mame was so a shesh jeans, no shek lap tea away fatano, no de pie, or coin was a me come a desdi. I'm favorite clear. So, Bomodiana Co. In Style Vintage and make sure that you are buying all the trendy outfits from them. They are in the same building with Milan and Meatman on the Asqua Alaga Junction Road. Call them on 0598 989 0661 or 0533 911 811 0533 911 811. Yeah, Kodo the Island. Let's visit Dodi Island with Africana Vacations Limited. Africana Vacations Limited is embarking on a thrilling one-day tour on the 15th of June 2024 to explore the stunning attractions of the Volta region. Now, we'll be engaging in various activities that would leave you with unforgettable memories. Boat riding, horse riding, volleyball, live band, swimming. I've tried horse riding somewhere in 2020 in Cape Coast. Volleyball there, I'm say me height no mean to me more. I'm only say me jam tintini bi ofie. Ebe live band so meet mabu kon kana mo. Swimming so there I can sit at the edge of the pool. Na kade boat riding. So I am in. In fact, let's all go to Dodi Island with Africana Vacations Limited. Call 0257 962 459 0257 962 459 or 0551 299 907 0551 299 907. Tonight, my guest is a very beautiful woman. I think I've said that a couple of times. and a very intelligent woman too. The show is produced by Abna Dapa, aka Big D. I'll be talking to Dr. Pearl Adu-Nyako from the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital. Doc.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's good to have you again. I'm saying wiki there. What's right, pa? You look fabulous. Did I tell you that at time that I love your frames?
Thank you.
Makes you pass out. Say, DB, sir. The first time I met you on Rise and Shine, I was like, wow, this woman is very beautiful and very simple. And then when I got to know that you are a psychiatrist, I always wondered how women in the psychiatry department, if there's any, I mean, be it a nurse, a doctor, a cleaner, whatever service you render at the psychiatrist department, I wonder how they feel, because I know women and our empathy and our emotions. Even before we get to know you, your life, did you ever imagine you end up at the psychiatry department? Of all the things in medics, there is pedics, there is gynae, there is GP, right? General physician, even the pathologist. How did you end up at
psychiatry?
Yeah.
So no, I never dreamt of being in psychiatry. Growing up, I enjoyed science. I enjoyed biology. In fact, I had a library card to British Council.
At what age?
A very early age. I was in love with reading. Wow. So I was first a member of the Ashanti Library Readers Club.
Oh, I joined too.
Okay.
I'm saying, me time and chena.
So Ashanti Library came in because the school I attended, Cambridge, required that the students had library cards. And Fridays the school would close early.
A very Cambridge at Suntreso.
That is Cambridge at Kwadaso.
That area is Kwadaso?
No, Suntreso is the one you see now. It used to be at Kwadaso.
Oh, so you're a pioneer?
Yes.
I see.
I completed Cambridge in 93.
This woman. Okay.
So, because of Cambridge, I had access to Ashanti Library, a library club. And my parents wanting to keep us at home.
Okay.
When that was not enough, I got access to British Library. So I had a card there. And I used to like Shakespeare and literature. So I would borrow. But British Council had a policy where you can take all the fairy tale books, but you have to add one documentary or one literature to the books you borrow. And that's how come I fell in love with literary work. And so growing up, I had fallen in love with science.
But literature and science are two different worlds.
Yes, they are two different worlds. Now, the video version of the book borrowing requires that you borrow a documentary.
Okay.
And those documentaries, I would go for the science ones.
The ones about wildlife?
Yes, wildlife. You have a scientist stay in the forest studying gorillas and lions and those ones.
How old were you?
I should say close to 9 years.
Okay, and you were intrigued by wildlife and science related?
6 to 9 years was when that pleasure was in place. And so growing up, if you ask me what I wanted to be, I would say I wanted to be a scientist and a biologist. And then it evolved into me wanting to be the voice for the voiceless, to be able to take care of sick people.
Okay.
But that came from the fact that my mother, who is late, was a midwife. And so growing up, I was always around her. You know, when she's not asleep, I won't sleep. Follow her in the labor ward, that kind of thing. So I found...
So at a young age, you saw the birth of babies?
Yes, I saw the birth of babies. In fact, my home is a very popular maternity home. Named after me. Baby Pearl Maternity Home.
You don't say?
Yes. And my mom had a policy where all the babies would come to be part of the morning devotion in the house.
The babies that had been born?
The babies that had been born overnight. Part of it was to help the mothers rest in the morning because they breastfed during the night. And so when it was time for morning devotion in our house, we wake up as early as 5. We are all up and we have morning devotion. So the baby would come for the morning devotion.
How inspiring.
And I would get to hold the baby.
Oh my God.
And I loved sitting there with the baby on my lap. So
and they would say, be careful. Tell, be careful.
Oh, you are cushioned in the chair, so you feel like you're in control. You know how 5-6-year-olds, we feel like we know everything.
A whole boss. A little boss.
So I wasn't afraid of the babies.
Okay.
And more so, I would have been with my mommy throughout the whole night while the woman was in labor.
You weren't scared?
I wouldn't sleep. I wanted to sleep by my mom.
So it means you pass off as a very adventurous woman.
Well,
even from infancy.
You are saying, and your audience are judging. So I wanted to be in health. I wanted to be able to help people who were sick. And I wanted to also have fun because I saw the life of the scientist that was adventurous. So I imagined being in a profession where I could tour the world, see the world, enjoy things.
Why not a pilot?
Well, so you're helping me unravel. So being in psychiatry was not in any of these images. Maybe the only pinch of it was being the voice for the voiceless.
Absolutely.
Being there for those who could not defend themselves. Maybe that was the only aspect that would link to psychiatry. So I went through school. I had a challenge of not being wanted in school.
On that note, now let's come back. How many people are in your family? Your dad, your mom, how many siblings have you got?
So we are 4. 2 males, 2 females.
That makes you
I'm the last
of the 4.
Of the 4.
Okay.
And we have 1 step who is late.
Okay, so your dad had a kid before he got married to your parents. What schools did you attend?
Okay, I grew up in Kumasi. My family has lived in Brooklyn Estates all this while. They still are there. And our family is...
So from Bokum Estate to Kwadaso?
Yes.
Cambridge?
Yes.
That's a whole journey?
That's a whole journey. But when I was growing up, it was one of the few good schools around.
Okay.
We were staying at Brooklyn Estate. And then the best school closest to us would have been University Primary or Rich School or Cambridge. Those were the schools in Kumasi then. We are talking in the 80s. Okay. And so we'd wake up and have to leave Brooklyn Estate before 6 and walk to Brooklyn, where it's now called Sepe, to get a car.
All 4 of you?
Well, my siblings started it, and then when I was old enough to join, that was after having been rejected admission several times. When I eventually was admitted, then I would join the few cars in the area to go. And if I miss those cars, then it means I'm going to take trotro. Fortunately, when I was about 6-7 years, then we had some bus, a very popular Benz driver, Odei. He's still alive now. He used to be the only one driving the only Benz bus
around your area
that would come to Belai. So we meet at the Beeline bus stop. If you miss his car,
this one auntie. It's 202.
It's 202. This one auntie Babu Chrome and Sawenya car. So that was how we were trekking. In fact, at a point I almost got knocked down by a Tata bus at Dr. Mensa.
Titi Tata no.
Titi Tata no. And Ibon Shika, the wooden ones.
Yeah.
I sat in some.
Hey, what about bra?
I don't look. I don't look.
You don't look it. I think I saw Bonshika in secondary school. But around that time, Naifa firewood pay. It wasn't commuting students in and out of the school.
Okay.
So I don't have an experience of being in one.
Okay.
But I've seen one.
So there were few, and when they came, they were cheaper, so they were preferred. And you see, they were high up.
Your mom was a midwife.
My
what was
mom
your dad?
Was a midwife. My dad is an engineer, a civil engineer.
That seems like a middle class home.
Something
you didn't
like
have a car to transport all four of you that you had to trek?
Yes, because my dad initially was the one who had a car, and he was with Public Works Division. So sometimes he's not even in Kumasi. We saw him for brief periods. You go to Y, you go to all over the country. So then our mom is at home, and when I was born, my mom had actually retired from public service and had her own clinic. So she was
that's the Baby Pearl maternity home.
Yes. So she was like a stay-home working mom.
All right.
Yes. And when she was able, she would drive us, but it wasn't convenient for her running the clinic to be taking us. So we would join neighbors who had a car. And those days, the whole of Brooklyn Estate, there were like only 3 or 4 families had cars. So you join, and there you face the dynamics of having to join those cars where the car owners' children are like, you know. And you are the pecha.
You are the squatter.
Yes, the squatter. You can even have your snack, you know, taken because
you are in your father's car.
I'm telling you. So that's how the beginning journeys were. And I was saying after being rejected because I was small, and those days your hand had to go all the way to your ear to prove that you were old enough to be admitted. And even though I passed all the assessment questions,
just that,
I never could do it. So up until about age 5, 6, Cambridge would not accept me. So year after year would go and I'll get rejected. And my sibling, the one I'm right after, is about 5 years older
She's
than
a girl.
me. It's a he.
Okay,
so there are 2 girls outside and 2 males in the middle.
So a first girl, a last girl, and then 2 boys.
Yes.
Oh.
And at that time, when I was now school-going age, they were all in boarding school at Cambridge.
Okay.
So I was the only one at home, and seeing them come home and going, admiring that I also attend Cambridge, and I'll go for admissions and I'll get rejected.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, horrible, you know. And to make matters worse, I was attending a school which is no longer in existence at Brooklyn Estate called Prince of Peace. And when I look at the environment at Cambridge and the environment at Popisco is what we call it.
What is Popisco?
Prince of Peace.
But what is Popisco?
Prince of Peace.
Yes, somebody. So your Popisco bar. I mean, we have Pesco bar and all that.
This is Popisco.
Your Popisco bar.
Now Popisco was at A line, so that was within walking distance from the house. So it was convenient. But the class I was in, what they were learning was things I knew already.
Moshe.
And the environment wasn't like Cambridge.
So it didn't make you feel happier?
I wasn't happy in the school. In fact, after the first period, I lose interest. And my best friend, who is now in UK, she's an engineer. She's into aerospace and things like that. We would sneak out of school, 2 girls, go and play. Her house was close to the school. So we'll go and play somewhere in between the school and her house. And when we see the other children have closed,
you join them to go home?
Then we join them to go.
Like as if you've been in school all this while?
Like as if we've gone in
How did the teachers not notice that you girls are not in the class?
Nobody ever noticed it. Or if they noticed it, well, we never got to know they noticed it.
Dr. Bill.
So that was how those years were like. And
until you finally made it to Cambridge.
The worst case scenario was if they were sacking those who owed school fees. Oh,
you joined
them. We joined them.
More and tutum penas to see our column from
South Africa.
I see.
We joined them. And in that school, because of this, my performance there
was
did not reflect what I was capable of. Because when I went for interviews at Cambridge, I excelled.
But over
there, I wasn't even in class to begin with. So
I'm sure your parents thought the school was not good enough.
Oh, the parents knew the school was not good for me because my parents or my mom would actually take me through homework and I would do it. So when my results would come, it didn't match. So they knew I needed to change school.
But they didn't know you are the one behind everything.
No. I don't look it. Do I look like a true?
You don't look like a trouble person, honestly.
No. I was a quiet person. In fact, I'm there.
You still are.
And and some people will beg to differ with that. I was actually that kid in class who got her earrings pulled off. Okay. I would get new earrings. I would go home without my earrings.
Because you fought?
No, someone would just bully me and take it off. And so I was always going to school with maybe new food flags, new earrings. At a point, my mom decided, okay, enough of dashing away your earrings. So you go to school like that. And so why would I stay in school?
You were unhappy?
Yes. But I was too young to say I was unhappy. All I could do was like, I want to go to Cambridge. And so the last attempt, which eventually broke the ones assessing and deciding to admit me, was the fact that I did a sit down.
What is a sit down?
I insisted that if they did not give me admission, I would not leave the school compound. I would not go home with my parents. And I was 5 years old.
Hey, you know, now you're a rebel. Saturday you're a rebel. I see. You were bent on being admitted at Cambridge at any cost.
I was bent on changing my school.
So not necessarily Cambridge.
Yes.
But you were just not happy at Poppy school.
I wanted better for myself. So they said, okay, we'll give her a try. But because of my score, they could not send me to KG, which is where the 5-year-olds 4 years were. And Cambridge had KG or crash, then KG1, KG2, class 1. And so they put me at...
So there's no nursery?
There's a nursery as well.
So crèche, nursery, kindergarten, and then primary.
Yes. So they decided to put me at KG1 and see how I fit in. And they had a policy where if you excel, I think the first 5 in the class will get promoted, whether it was end of term or not. So at the end of the first term, I was top of the class.
Wow.
So I was pushed to KG2. So second term, I was top of second of the...
Awesome data and voice deals only from AT. Life is simple.
Hey, are you worried about your parties, weddings, hangouts, on what drink to enjoy for the celebration? Or you're worried about how to celebrate your friends and family during that special occasion? Now that is Bigo! With Bigo, no wahala for the occasion. They made it for everyone to enjoy and have the ideal celebration. Bigo, the soft drinks that comes in 16 and 20 in a pack. Hey, Charlie, that is Bigo. A lot to go around in various packs. It's refreshing and good quality. Now that is Bigo. The taste is... Another quality product from Twillium Industries Limited. This advert is FDA approved.
Are you looking to study abroad in countries like the UK, USA, Australia, Canada, and Germany? CenturyNet Consult is here to help you actualize your dreams through global education with packages like fully funded scholarships, partially funded scholarships, and low tuition fees, amongst others. Locate our offices in Accra at Shimota Mile 7 Pentecost Junction and in Kumasi at Santase, adjacent the post office, or contact us on 0554 71 7878 or 0545 130 650. You can also follow us on all social media platforms at Century_Net_Consult. CenturyNet Consult. Learn to travel, travel to learn.
Nothing brings people together like good food. Fulfill your food cravings at any of our comfortable dining setups across the city. Pi serves high quality meals at low costs. Book your breakfast meetings at Pi's. For lunch and dinner, let's meet at Pi's. Pi's offers sit-in, take-out, and delivery services. Pi's serves you varieties of food and beverages, local and continental, all kinds of pizza and finger foods. Try our signature chicken and goat style with any side dish. Pi's serves all kinds of stew and sauces, egg stew, beef stew, palava sauce. Wake up your taste buds with our cocktails and mocktails at Pi's Pizza and Restaurant. Locate Pi's at Ayeduase, Bantama, and Kumasi City Mall. For delivery, call 055-071-3776.
Agriculture is for everyone, and I dream of the day that everyone will have an agriculture, vocational, or technical story to share. My name is Araba Kumsin, and I welcome you to Ghana Grows Ejuma.
Join Araba Kumsing on YFM 102.5 every Monday at 8:30 a.m. for the Ghana Grows Ejuma broadcast. Don't miss Ghana Grows Ejuma broadcast on TV3 at 5:45 p.m. every Sunday evening. For more information on how to register for the Ghana Grows program, call the Springboard call center on 030-8255-775 or visit Springboard Zone or Ghana Grows on social media.
Ghana Grows Ejuma is brought to you by Mastercard Foundation in partnership with the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. Let's go
Hey, Nanti Musta Bia Abba Frodo Nana. And I want Nanti and watch you with sugar. So wouldn't me Yari and then mini pediamwa and carry a 1 yam rough. Oh, sorry, you're ready and fancy lipa. Meaning, and yet me Yari and Cassa. Oh, Kakra Nanansia Chime. Machinka say, as a move. I they wouldn't need Lawson, Herba Mixer of you. Lawson Herba Mixer. And your word you my pa. If we say, Semi Malaria, ne come one. I can just say, and not Lawson Herba Mixer, so Edison Kunimu. When I'm yapa. We born with your Umiano crowd one tissue, and so a children. Nayano ya afe malaria. Coco, if it's a grown woman who what was tire we are at a day. I am meant to touch Shimmy Pa, Nasa dear, and me go to John Hunubisa, and Miss Wodabancha Mumwa. Lawson Herba Mixer, a bet in the Tama Water cry. And yes, a Lawson Herba Mixer, Mamma Hotomedia. Medda was no way, and you see, kind of the Medawas. Oh, that is in kind. Eh, no. What you blaming ya? Make a pedia bros and see our pharmacy, Kamikana Herba shop, Bia Berman, or Manfon 020-267-5778, and then 0242-133-577. Lawson Herba Mixer, and one I see in kind.
This is Lama Restaurant. Madam Waitress, I need mixed fruit salad. Add wonton soup and prawns. I've fallen in love with their jollof rice. Their shrimp fried rice. This is Lama Restaurant. Rapture is here.
One, two, you just say you feel about baby. And the promise about Ghana, about City, every day she give me company.
To all the rappers
business. Make sure your bars are bigger. If you can rap, YFM is the place. This is Rapture. To enter, send a maximum 1 minute rap recording of yourself. Give us your name and your contact to this email, music@yfmghana.com. If we like what we hear, you will be live on the Drive of Your Life on Fridays. And to all rappers listening, you're getting a bigger prize just for showing up. So what are you waiting for?
Rapture. Rap, and culture. 102.5. Why?
Malaria fever.
Pearl Andrews, my friend Pearl Andrews. Pearl, you work at Snappy Abba Saving Salons right here at Ahudunsha. It's a very fabulous young woman and so pretty and very tall. How come I'm not this tall? Me is the height, it's just the height. Height. Happy birthday to you, dear Pearl. May all your dreams come true. Dreams may look like dreams, but they can be real. and I pray that yours become reality. You're wonderful, and may all the good things in life find you. From Dr. Pearl and I, and everyone here at YFM, we wish you, Pearl Andrews, a very, very, very happy birthday. Doc, we are back. Back like we're never gone. So we got to where you were adjusting from P4, P5, there and then. Tell us what your most amazing memory in primary school was.
My most amazing memory would be the day the whole school surprised me.
The whole school?
Yes. They surprised me. So in Cambridge, they select the school prefects.
Okay.
And the staff and the students, somehow they come together to select the students. But the final say comes from the staff, the proprietor, the head teachers. And we are all pulled into one big hall. And this time we had moved to Suntreso.
Okay.
And an assembly is called. Some of us may have gone for one interview here and there, but we never know who is going to be selected. And I had not been called. So I wasn't expecting to be called to the position in the school. So we were waiting anxiously. And then they mentioned the name of the head girl. She's now one of the regional directors, Nimzi Ifua Dennis. She's a medical doctor. She was the senior girls prefect.
She's called what? Nimzi?
Nimzi.
I say Nimdie.
Yes.
But Infanti.
Yes, Ifua Dennis. Now her name has changed.
Hey.
And then we were all contemplating, so who will be the assistant girls prefect? And there were so many names that we thought would be mentioned. So I was not even expecting my name to be mentioned.
And you became the vice?
Yes. And they mentioned the name. Okay. So I wasn't paying attention because I wasn't expecting to be called. They mentioned it the second time. So it was my friend who tapped me and said, hey, you can't hear your name. You had assistant girls prefects. And I was in such a state of shock and surprise and everything. I started crying. So primary, that was really a very moving moment.
I can imagine.
Because the caliber of persons who were selected to be prefects in Cambridge, it meant that you had to be excellent in every way, in conduct, in academics, in terms of respect, etiquette,
your outlook,
leadership role. You had to be all-rounded.
But had you vied for the position?
We don't vie.
Oh, so
those days you were selected.
And you never thought yourself of owning such a position?
No, I never.
And I'm sure around that time you were the girl in glasses.
I was the girl in glasses.
Now, before we went on a break, you were telling us you started having sight problems.
Yes.
How did it begin?
In class 4 and 5. So what I remember was that in the mornings I'm fine, but after we go for break and we come back, the writings on the blackboard
becomes a scribble.
They change into different colors.
Hey.
Yes.
And then what do you know?
I would see some yellow, blue, purple,
You don't say.
And I would assume that was because I'd been in the sun. Some of us get that. So I would assume that was because I'd been in the sun playing, and that is why I would see that on the board. It would take a while, and then that would go away. But then, when I try to read on the board, the words will get mixed up sometimes. So now, someone who used to write perfect notes, my handwriting was nice, my handwriting got bad. There were a lot of mistakes in my notes. So at a point, I even stopped writing notes and would take other people's notes and copy. And then I was lucky because my big sister, according to my father, had experienced a similar thing. So as soon as they saw that change,
they knew where
they
it was
decided to
from.
get my eyes checked. And then they discovered that I was myopic, which means I can see. Yes, I can
you can't see from afar.
Yes, I can't see from afar. So I had to wear glasses. And those days, wearing glasses means you can't play. You know.
I relate.
You can relate.
Charlie. It's making interesting. Do you know myopia is also a poetry in literature?
Yes.
I'll share it with you. Have you read it?
I've read some.
Oh. Yeah. Interesting. Now you became the head girl.
So I became the head girl.
Did Cambridge have junior high school then?
No, Cambridge didn't have junior high. Yeah, when we moved from the Kwadaso
to Suntreso,
then we had junior high.
or Cambridge, like
yes,
you completed.
Yes, okay. I completed.
Now let's talk about selecting of secondary schools. What went into it, and what school did you eventually end up at?
So I come from a family where the boys went to Prempeh College.
And the girls went to Yasantua?
No, the girls went to Ebri Girls.
Oh.
I'm from the Eastern region.
Okay.
Ekuapim, I'm from Latte.
Ah.
We are Presbyterians.
It will be a Bekwebri.
Aha.
So so high. Interesting.
See, so, and we lived at Brockham Estate. Water was a problem, transportation was a problem. My big sister was already in Ebri Girls, so I fancied going to Ebri Girls, but that was not God's plan.
Oh,
yeah. I passed, though for one or two reasons I didn't get the grades that everybody expected me to get, because I was the kind of student that teachers could even come to the class and say, if all of you were like Pearl, then we would not have any problem. You know, she's always into her books, she's doing the right thing. And if you saw my maths notes, it was like a textbook.
Well compiled.
Yes, I solve questions myself. I'll set questions and my questions.
The kind of women who come on this show, they just intimidate me, but the Lord is my shepherd. Because me and Mass, we would never see eye to eye.
I loved Mass.
We would, Doc, don't say that. Don't say that to me, Doc. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try to do that. Mass and I will never be friends. Even if Jesus solve our problem, we'll still be enemies.
So I had a teacher who actually unraveled the mystery about Mass for me, Mr. Dia.
What did Mr. Dia do?
Mr. Dia made me discover that Mass was like a detective thing. And the formulas were like the clues. And once you were able to pick the right clue, which is the right formula, you've solved it.
Doc, don't do this. No matter how much you try, we'll stick to the English.
So the key was to know the formulas and to be able to identify which question needed which formula.
And hold me how? That's my problem. I can get the formulas right, but how to identify that this one is for maybe board mass, or this Doc, what the
So yes.
So where did you end up eventually at?
So I ended up going to KNUST Secondary School.
Oh, okay.
Because
that's Majimba, right?
Majimba.
Okay.
Because my exam results got missing in transit. Those days, all your results are packed into a car and transported to the region that you selected. So if you're in Kumasi and you selected outside Kumasi, your prayer should be that your results and everything will get there safely. Otherwise, if along the way something happened to the car or there was an accident or anything, then if you don't go to that region to follow it up, then you could go there and they've already finished admissions. We didn't have computer placements. So parents had to follow up on admissions.
And they said your admissions never got there.
So
your results
by
never.
the time, and everybody was so,
confident
that I'll get it and I'll get signs that it wasn't something we were worried about.
So nobody did the checkup.
My suitcase and everything were packed ready
for Beposo High.
For Beposo High. So you see, I stayed at home a month and 2 after everybody had gone to school, and very worried about what was happening. And my father, I must say, also was so sure I'd gotten admission that he was also waiting for my admission letter. And it was only when they actually decided to search to see whether it had been prepared or whatever that they discovered that my records had not reached the place. So we had to come all the way back to Kumasi.
And now look for a school.
And you see, because my grades were good,
every school was willing to.
My first choice was Ebri Girls. My second choice, I think, was Ebri or Yasantua. And my
Can you choose Ebri twice?
Those days we could. My first was Ebri, my second was Yasantua, and the third choice I didn't even know what my third choice was. I think it was one of the teachers who put something there for me. So when we now discovered my results were missing, and then it was, this is it. And they said, we've taken all our science students, so she has to do general arts.
At Ebri
Girls. And general arts
is not your thing.
Was not my thing. And they knew I loved science, you know. I was thinking of being a scientist or maybe a doctor, you know. And a doctor because the family is full of doctors and nurses and that kind of thing. So then we came to Yasantua hoping that I'll get admission there. There, they were willing to take me, but their science classes were full. So the option was if someone didn't show up, then I would get a slot.
That wasn't an assurance.
That wasn't an assurance. So it meant that I was stranded. Now, fortunately, my auntie was a lecturer at KNUST Secondary. And she said, with my grades, I should apply and see if I would get admission. So God opened the way there, and I got admission to KNUST.
Yes. And you did science.
And I did science.
After secondary school, did you know what you were going to do now? Because why science from secondary school? Now you're done. What was the plan?
So, in my final year, I'm quite reflective as a person. So I realized that my desire to be trotting the globe and sightseeing
was declining.
Would be affected if I became a doctor. Yes, doctors have very little life for themselves. And I saw the life of my mom. I had relatives who were doctors. You hardly see them. Sometimes they miss occasions and events. They spend their whole time in the hospital. So I realized that dream I had as a child, I have to modify it. So I decided that I would not pursue becoming a doctor, which was what everybody expected. But then I decided, because KNUST was on campus, so I walked, those times we were at commercial area.
That's where the senior high school was?
That was where TechSec, as it was called, Technology Secondary. That was where it was. Behind the industrial arts, that was where we were. And the nursery school was attached to us. So I walked from there to the biological sciences, and biological sciences has always been where it is at faculty. So I walked there, looked for the head of department's office, knocked, introduced myself to the secretary, and told her that I had to have a discussion with the head of department.
Sandy, it be crazy. You know the traffic for town, and they talk about the parties for P2 Lounge. It be crazy. You know the minimum boys, so that where we go chill. My buddy, forget that place. It a job. See, on Fridays then they do Friday Freaks plus 18. It be crazy. Saturdays, Samedi soiree. That one too. It be crazy. Sundays, roast and toast. 6 p.m. Oh, then they play some high life. Right. But after 10 p.m., I mean, you know that. It be crazy. Hey, P2 Lounge, Kumasi City Mall, food courts, Friday to Sunday. It be crazy.
Woman, you are unlimited. Many women are doing amazingly well wherever they find themselves, from juggling between family to the corporate and entrepreneurship world. Women are also excelling academically. We really need to hear the story.
I'm a graphic designer.
My name is Abina Kunedu Yado. Wednesdays, we go pink on Y102.5. Pink, a conversation with a successful woman to tell her story. Pink, Wednesdays, 6 p.m.
Wearing on my shoulders, gotta find the strength in me. Cause
Saturday for the interview. So they were we were to have left on Monday, and they said, well, they will wait for our response. If on Monday we don't show up, then it means we forfeited. But then I sought God about the situation and accepted that I was running away, from a calling.
How old were you?
At the time I was 23. I was almost 23. So I had actually asked God to decide the two scenarios for me. So when this happened, I had to accept it that this is probably God's plan and submit to it. So I did that and came back to medical school. That did not mean the journey in medical school was smooth. In fact, it was one of the most turbulent times of my academic life.
A whole you. Yeah, the brilliant spell.
It was one of the most turbulent periods, and I don't know what you would call it, whether because I was not in tune with it to begin with or whatever it was. But
so now you're coming to start first degree all over again.
I was coming to start
means you
human
have a first
biology
degree in
biological science and in human biology.
Oh.
I got some exemptions for the courses that are shared with biological sciences. And there were storms, yes. There were real storms. There were times when I felt like I couldn't go on. But every time God would pull me through. Every time. There were times I even missed the exams.
I can see you
and
tearing.
had to do receipts. And for someone who is like an A student, that were big blow moments. But God still put me through. And when I finished medical school,
let's get doctor tissues.
Everybody, including myself, expected that I'll go into ONG. One, because of my mom.
Yeah.
But I had
obstetrics
fallen
and gynecology
because she has a maternity home. But
just in case the psychiatrist need wipes.
Oh, we are humans.
I know.
And then I discovered I loved pediatric surgery.
You would have done fabulous.
And I loved child health. In fact, one of my bosses actually said, Pearl, because of you, we'll set up a pediatric orthopedic unit. Dr. Kuma, I worked under him.
At Cath?
At Cath.
Okay.
And during my housemanship, I put my everything. So I put my everything into everything that I do. And a lot of times I would get commendations for my bosses. And I had a lot of workload. I remember my bosses one day, Dr. Kuma one day saying that, please, you people don't put Pearl on weekend duty. And the reason was because anytime I was on duty, there were a lot of cases.
Everyone wants to see Dr. Pearl.
No, there were a lot of sick people. We had a lot of patients coming
those days.
Yes, and this is trauma, so it meant that there were a lot of accidents, and we had to fix people's bones, and we're like, is it because of you, or
Yeah.
And somehow it seems to be something that pertains to me. I find that wherever I'm working, there are a lot of patients that gravitate towards me. And I went to mental health because when I was finishing house job, my current boss, Dr. Uswenchi, and our former boss, Dr. Donne, told me that, mental health is quite female friendly. Those days, it was assumed that the patient load was not much. So if you did your house job, you could close early. It was one of the few places where you didn't get to sleep in because the hospital didn't really have a space for us. So we didn't have a doctor's room where if you are tired as a doctor, you could go and rest.
For the psychiatrist.
For the doctors there. The nurses had some nurses' room which they share. Okay, it's like one room like this place. So you couldn't do night duty as a doctor. So as a young wife who had just gotten married.
Oh, you got married during your house job?
I got married right after house job.
Okay.
I got married in 2011.
Okay.
And had my daughter in 2012.
Nice.
So then combining the role, and I was an only wife. I didn't have a house girl. I didn't have a
all
maid.
By yourself.
Yes. What I had was someone who would come and go. So, and my husband didn't want the children to go to school early. His policy was when they are age 4, then they go to school. So it means for the first 4 years they have to be at home. And I prayed. So God gave me a good nanny who lived at Fumeswa.
To Bokrum.
That time we were at Bantoma, doctor's flat.
Okay.
And
that's so very far.
Yes, but she was the one God chose because after I petitioned God for a caregiver,
this God,
she was the only one who fits the bill perfectly. And she was always very early. I got someone from Bantoma, but she always made me late for work. So I told God, this person has to not object to any conditions, has to be ready to come to work early so that I'm not late. And she was just perfect.
Where is she now?
Justina. She's married to a pastor now.
Oh.
So that was how I ended up in psychiatry, because the hassle of going through medicine with a very turbulent pregnancy, finishing ONG, having given birth, then it was like, if you go to psychiatry, you get to close early. Yes, so I went there. And that was when God now made me realize that this is where I want you to be.
All this while.
All this while.
Of all the hustle and tussle.
And everything I had gone through
now
was to prepare me for
mentally.
that. In fact, I got a confirmation of it when I had to go and do my membership exam. Because if I was the one to decide for my membership, I would have said, no, this person shouldn't even write the exam. And yet, I went through, of the candidates that sat for the exam that year, I was the only one from psychiatry that passed the exam.
Indeed, you don't look like what you've been through.
No, I don't look at it at all. So that is how I ended up in mental health. And I discovered that there were a lot of broken souls.
Lots of them.
Yes, there are a lot of us hurting. And where do you go to heal your soul and your body at the same time? There's only one place, and that is mental health. So that is how come I ended up in psychiatry.
Everyone think that when you go to the psychiatry, you're mad. I want to, please pardon my word, but I want to be a layman. Obadam. Like I baby what do you a psychologist there say maybe you just need someone to talk to, but the moment you mention psychiatrist, you've lost it. how have you, and even if you say you are a psychiatric doctor, I'm sure people think you care for mad persons, and maybe they may fear for your life, or may think you are one to be able to take care of one. You know how people think. How have you debunked, or in your actions and in your experience, debunked these stigmas?
So first, being in psychiatry led to my own self-discovery. Because in psychiatry, we learn about who you have become as a result of what you came into the world with and what your experiences have turned you into. So it was a place for self-discovery. It was a place where I was now able to put a name to my experiences in childhood, which I was telling you about, being bullied. When at the time I wasn't even aware that was what was happening to me. I know I had a best friend, or that was what I thought this person was, who I would come to school with in the morning, those early mornings that I come to. And now when I came to psychiatry, then I was able to understand that what the relationship I had with that person was an unhealthy one. But at the time, I felt dependent on the person.
Regardless of how they are treating you.
They treated me, I still stayed in that relationship. You understand? So it was the place of self-discovery for me. It was a place of healing for me, because I got to see other people, their hurts, and I could understand their pain and be able to help them. And I found fulfillment anytime a patient would come to me and say, "Doc, thank you so much. I'm back to who I used to be." Okay. And like you were saying, I discovered that the people who come for treatment for us are not mad people. They have their decisions, they have their desires, they have their choices. Yes, those who are very sick, they are struggling to say what they want to say. But it is because the brain is also a structure that is in between you, the person, and the physical world you are in. You, the person residing in that brain, the only way you're able to interact with the rest of us is through your brain. And the brain, like every other part of your body, can also get worn out. When it gets worn out, there is a person behind that brain who needs to be reached, who is struggling to reach you. So it's like being blindfolded, having your lips taped, and still trying to communicate with other people. And somehow I discovered that early childhood desire to be the voice for people who could not express their pain was what I am now living. So yes, we treat people who are dealing with life challenges, couples going through difficulties, where because of simple things, the two couples can't agree and they are growing apart. We help them come back together.
But I'll ask you, does it mean you have your life all perfect, all fixed? Your marriage is perfect, your school is perfect, your kids are perfect. That puts you in that place to help people? Or if not, where do you also seek your help?
So my life is not perfect. I'm human. And I know that a number of us working in mental health also, like everybody else, has challenges. We have those who were evicted from their accommodation places when they were supposed to be the clinicians on duty. We've had instances where some of us have had our apartments flooded and called whilst at work that, "Hey, your apartment is flooded, come home." I remember some years ago, was it 2018, I was at work attending to a patient who had tried to have contact with me for so long, and that was the only day I could meet the patient. Whilst I was there discussing her problems, and she was going through marital problems with an unfaithful spouse. The spouse was aware he was being unfaithful, but he claimed it was difficult for him to stay away, and they were trying to work it. And she really wanted to talk with me, and we had cancelled the meeting several times. That was the day it was possible. Whilst I was talking to her, I got a call that my apartment was on fire, and it took God to send somebody from Takrade to come and visit the neighborhood to see the smoke. Otherwise, my apartment would have been completely consumed in flames.
At Bantama?
That time I had moved to my parents' place at Brooklyn Estate. So my life is not perfect. In fact, I'm a single parent. My life is not perfect. I have 2 children, 2 lovely children. Even before, it was more like we're staying apart. But now I am a single parent. So my life is not perfect. I'm in the choir. I still serve. I'm a member of the counseling committee. Working in the vineyard of God. Where do I get my help? My help comes from the Lord. He is.
But we all have the Lord.
My strength. So there is an extent to which you come to know Him when you go through the fire. When you get to that point where it's as if there is nobody who understands your pain. When you get to that hour of the night where you have known God for real, but you find yourself screaming in the middle of the night and saying, if you are God. That's what I'm talking about. When my marriage was going through a very difficult time, I find myself at that point. I found myself doubting the God who had taken me through all these journeys and asking whether He was real. That was when I got my wake up. That was when I realized that I have come far in trying to deal with the pain my own way. And that was when God used Isaiah 46:10 to tell me that, Pearl, what I need you to do is to rest in me. To not move, but to be totally dependent on Him. And that was when my intimacy with God began. I must emphasize that I gave my life to Christ at the age of 13. And this midnight call that woke me up from, you could call it, I'd become complacent as a Christian, you could call it whatever it was. It happened when I was at the age of 32 years. So I had known God for more than 10 years. I had led people to Christ. In my senior high school, God would push me to ask for an audience. I was a very shy person, but when I started working with God, He would make me so restless that in the morning I'll go and request to share. And I'll share at the school assembly. And people will call me later and tell me, whilst you were speaking, we saw Christ. And we've given our life to Christ, and we wanted you to know.
God is real.
He is real.
But
He's
sometimes
real than your clothes.
When you are able to, I'm sure some parts of psychiatry explores the brain. Right?
Every part of psychiatry is about your brain and your experiences.
Does it not tell there's no God? On
the contrary, if you come to know God for real and you're a psychiatrist, you are humbled. Because like I mentioned the last time, it is through your brain that you're able to understand that there is a God. Now, if your brain is not healthy, you will struggle to even understand that. You will struggle to even understand things that are right in front of you. And we see how magnificent the human brain has been made, that it controls every aspect of you. In fact, it controls you whilst you are not even aware that it's controlling you. The part of you that you are in control of is called your consciousness, which is just a little fraction of what your brain is. So it is rather humbling unless you decide to close yourself up to the reality of God and decide that all evidences aside, there is no God.
That's let's open the phone lines on 024505 Zero. Look at me mentioning CY phones. 0246 807 545 0246 807 545. The CY phones I am a crowd and do want to tell you 0246 807 545. Give us a call now. I sat down this evening with Dr. Pell. 0246 807 545. I think I have a first caller here.
Hello.
Good evening. John, I want to say, we spoke to Dr. Pell. Is there anything you want to tell her this evening?
I am.
Please adjust yourself. Jinaye kakreb my way.
You know, many I say, more because what I plan to I do. I cannot
just because we really want to hear what you're saying.
Hello?
It's better now.
Okay. Let me say, I'm a doctor. I'm very because many G the American election. I can't say the unique when it comes to me, I don't, but it's about.
We are struggling to hear this gentleman so bad. Patrol Friday, yeah. Doctor was all ears, but we are struggling. Anyway, Superlovec Phones is the headquarters of all phones. The best prices on the market comes from Superlovec. Be it Samsung, Tecno, Itel, Infinix, XTG, Huawei, very affordable. MR problem be our Doom close to Prudential Bank. Sign with Doom PZ. Sign with Kiritia. Be MTN office ni wana sound KNUST Tech Junction and a soft line. Madam versus surf line. And baby, I will be able to deliver to you. So log on to superlovecphones.com or contact them on 0501 635 620 0501 635 621. Superlovec, lower prices. P2 Lounge, Kumasi City Mall. Braho every day. Na bejueni. Na de here crying say on Fridays. Open mic 8 p.m. between your berape. We and check your voice. Check your voice. We check your style. Come and do your thing. Your voice in the name senye. Just come and have fun on the open mic karaoke every Friday 8 p.m. P2 Lounge is inside the Kumasi City Mall, just beside Pies Restaurant. Give me a call now on 0246 807 545. Doc, as we wait on our caller and all other callers, what is okay? I think the guy is back now. Hello, good evening.
No, good evening.
Yes, this is you again, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, please make it quick in a minute.
Oh, what I was, I'm very happy and I'm blessed. Nice. What I was saying, blessed.
Are you crying?
No, I'm. It's like headache.
Okay. Doc would give us a way to reach out to her in case you want to visit her. She would be available, all right? 0246 807 545. Doc, my last question will be sanitary. This show is about women, so I'll focus on the men. It doesn't mean I am throwing men's feelings under the bus. No. I mean, for a boy mom, I also understand that men too deserve whatever they go through or however they feel. They should be allowed to be human. But I'm a woman and this show is about women. Am I juggling between family, school, work? Most of us are literally working depressed souls. but we just try to shield it in. I would want to ask, how can we control these emotions? That's one. To not let ourselves deteriorate, that's two. And what is one peculiar thing that brings these feelings that we have as women? Minis, what's my question? I say, then am I feeling say, then am I as an awuchi be depression bako. But we throw one uncle was some train near day. And then two, you better cry and we said a bear yen ginsem. Because we are not beyond those people, excuse my language, walking naked on the streets. And then lastly, then pan of a disanyoma weba. Maybe we have not identified the root causes. Your time not so into just a minute. Yeah.
So we already have that information that as women, if you go through pregnancy, you get altered. Okay? And then we also know that as a female, during your adolescence, the hormones also have their own part that they play. Then we are also aware that when you have children, say 3 children under 6 years, that's a high stress situation. And we also know that the role of the African woman is very complex. Yes. And since Beijing came to add on, the misinterpretation of the Beijing rights has left us as breadwinners as well as homemakers and nurturers of the future generation. And the balancing these rules has to be done well, because otherwise then the next risk factor, I've talked about the hormones, I've talked about pregnancy, then the next risk factor for us developing mental health problems is stress.
Doc, you know what? Let's put your numbers out.
Yes.
And let the ladies call you and speak to you. Because this would need a lot of time and attention. So how do we reach Dr. Pearl?
So you can get me to sit down with you. Call this number 054 59
054.
Let me take it again. There are 2 numbers actually. There's 054 65 92 555.
555.
Yes.
Okay.
054 69 92
555. And the other one?
And the other one too is 055 44 700
43. Yes. Doc, thank you so much for sharing your evening with us. This month is mental health awareness.
Yes.
Just a second. What is next on the agenda?
So the next thing on the agenda, this week we did community outreach. So we're at Bantuma Market, the whole of Cats. Next week we are going to have a webinar, and getting towards the Mother's Day, we are going to be talking about maternal mental health.
Right.
Then the following week is when we'll have a debate where we have Lady Julia being on board with us. Then we'll end the month with a mental health school where you come and you get a mental health checkup. Yes, that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. I'm sure that it's on social media, right? So we can follow from there.
Yes, it will be on social media. Okay. And maybe I'll just tell your guests to make the time to take care of their mental health, because the risk factors are very many, and they are preventable too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor, so much. Some of us will come and see you back door. Is that healing? Proper healing. Thank you to Big D Abnadapa on production today. My name is Abna K. Adam. I brought you Pink from 6 p.m. It's time to check out. And like she said, take care of your mental health. You are all you've got, Charlie. A tifaswa. A bejinsemu. A mani nuru hansa. She wadjini ye. Ne she unhusu ye. Area se trouble ne entwam. Amanfo bewu ne enioma ekwa na eko fuela kenkena ne yatum. Inti take it easy. Be fine.
Yeah.
Hey,